Hello, welcome to Rise and Shine Talks with Elena. My name is Elena, and I am so happy you decided to join me here today. Today's episode is for the ones who feel everything, for the people who carry emotions that don't belong to them, the ones who get overwhelmed not because they're weak, but because they're spiritually sensitive, because they love deeply, because God wired them to discern more than the average person sees. If your spirit has felt heavy, tired, or stretched beyond your capacity, this is your message. You're not crazy. You're not too much. You're not broken. You're empathetic. And you're carrying more than you realize. And today, with the Word of God, we're going to talk about emotional capacity, spiritual boundaries, and why your heart feels so heavy even when nothing is wrong. Let's get into it. So, today, I do want to talk about something that many people experience but very few truly understand: the emotional weight of empathy. The exhaustion of carrying people's feelings, and the spiritual self awareness needed to walk in wisdom. Sometimes people get overwhelmed, sometimes they disconnect, not because they don't care, but because they've been emotionally stretched to the limit. And what I want people to know is this: you don't owe anyone constant emotional availability. You don't owe anyone instant replies. You don't owe anyone your energy when you are drained. The Bible teaches that even Jesus withdrew when emotions around him became heavy. Luke 5:16. And he withdrew himself into the wilderness and prayed. If Jesus, God in the flesh, needed space, why do we act like we're supposed to carry everyone all the time? Empathy is beautiful, but you cannot pour from an empty vessel. So let's step into understanding the weight that empaths carry. Some people are deeply empathetic. They don't think like the average person. They consider other people's feelings, their emotions, the possibility of hurting someone, the tone, the timing, everything. And that's why they get drained. Because empathetic people don't just feel their own emotions, they feel other people's emotions on top of their own. And when you're carrying all of that weight, it can become exhausting. And when you're trying to manage everyone else's emotions, you often end up ignoring your own. That's when detachment happens. That's when you mentally shut down, not because you're cold, but because you're overwhelmed. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 4:23, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Empaths forget this. We guard everyone else's heart while leaving our own unprotected. So let's go ahead and talk about the calling and the curse of seeing people clearly. Personally, I've always been someone who can see people clearly. I read their emotions. I understand their patterns. I see what they're carrying even when they don't say it. And because I see it, I naturally want to help. I want people to know they don't owe me emotional performance. They don't owe me instant responses. They don't owe me their energy. And they don't owe me any more than they have the capacity to give. But here's the truth I've had to learn personally. Just because I see someone clearly does not mean they are ready to see themselves. People sometimes get offended when you reflect their truth back to them, not because they're wrong or not because you're wrong, but because they're not ready. Jesus himself dealt with this. John 8:45. And because I tell you the truth, ye believe me not. Some people reject what is meant to heal them because they aren't emotionally or spiritually in a place to receive it. So let's talk about emotional timing and spiritual discernment. Empathy without self awareness becomes unsolicited advice. It becomes emotional pressure. It becomes overwhelming. And I had to step back and ask myself, where is this person emotionally? Are they even in a place to receive the truth I'm seeing? Because when someone is emotionally drained, their emotions outweigh their logic. You can speak truth, but they will hear pressure. You can speak clarity, but they will hear confrontation. The Bible reminds us, Ecclesiastes 3 and 7, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. Wisdom is not just knowing what to say, it's knowing when and whom to say it. So let's talk about giving others permission to have their own pace. One of the most loving things you can offer someone is freedom, and that includes yourself. Freedom to respond when they can, freedom to rest, freedom to withdraw, and freedom to not always show up emotionally. I want people to feel safe knowing you don't have to reply quickly. You don't have to give me emotional labor. You don't owe me constant communication, and you don't owe an explanation. Because truth is, no one owes anyone their energy. No one owes anyone their emotional availability. The Bible teaches mutual gentleness. Galatians 6:2. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. But it never tells us to destroy ourselves doing it. So let's talk about the patterns you're breaking right now as you listen to this podcast. For most of my life, I've been the one who sees other clearly, wants to help, tries to fix things, pour into people unasked. And sometimes people felt overwhelmed or exposed by that. Not because I meant harm, but because I was giving what they didn't request. This is where self awareness comes in. Now, I ask, is this person emotionally available for this? Is it wise to share what I see? Am I helping or overstepping? Is this the right moment? This is humility. This is maturity. And this is the beginning of emotional intelligence. So, empathy with boundaries is a spiritual gift. It is a powerful combination. Empathy is a blessing, but empathy without boundaries become exhaustion. Self-awareness turns empathy into wisdom. You cannot carry everyone. You cannot fix everyone, and you cannot speak into everyone's life, and you are not called to. What you are called to do is guard your heart, honor your own emotional capacity, practice discernment, move in love and wisdom, give people space when they need it, and give yourself permission to rest. Empathy plus boundaries is not weakness. It is spiritual obedience. It is emotional intelligence. It is maturity. It is freedom. And it is the path to honesty and healthy, peaceful relationships. So, before we close, I want you to remember this. Your empathy is not a flaw. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. And the way you feel deeply, the way you carry things, the way you discern atmospheres and emotions, that is a gift God put inside you. But even gifts require wisdom. Even Jesus withdrew. Even Jesus rested. Even Jesus set boundaries. So give yourself permission to breathe. Give yourself permission to step back. Give yourself permission to not carry everything and everyone. Guard your heart. Honor your capacity and trust that God will meet you where you are, not where people expect you to be. If this episode blessed you, spoke to you, or helped you understand yourself a little deeper, go ahead and share it with someone who needs this reminder too. If you got this far, you already know that I love you. Keep rising, keep shining, keep walking in wisdom, because your heart is worth protecting. I'll see you in the next one.